Hey guys, thanks for joining me. This is going to be new to me. I'm going to do this video by myself. It's not that Sheila doesn't agree with things I say or do, but Sheila doesn't like to. This is going to be a controversial video. You can look at the two gentlemen behind me and tell what it's about. I should have put a picture of Mike Elam and Oakley Baldwin up there also, because that's the four probably that's responsible for what I'm going to be talking about today. But it's going to be a long video. May have to make it two parts. I'm not going to get in no hurry. Not going to talk fast or try not to get loud. When I get passionate about something, I get loud and I get fast. Because I don't get loud or fast today doesn't mean I'm not passionate, because I'm very passionate. Guys, I don't want to sound like I'm tooting my own horn. I posted a video. Somebody was challenging my credentials in law enforcement, and I done a video on it. Last The last year's was small police department. Again, it don't matter if it's small or large. Crime's crime. They're all the same. But I did work for two county sheriff's departments and worked the entire counties. Tell you a little bit about myself. It's not to toot my own horn. It's to tell you why I'm like I am today. I'm almost 70 years old. I worked 40 years in law enforcement. Wanted to be a police officer since the time I was in kindergarten. I remember in kindergarten telling the teacher when we was having a little career day, back before they had career days, want to be a cop. That was my goal. Went in the Marine Corps at 17 years old because I wasn't old enough to be a cop. So spent 3 years in the Marines, got out, become a police officer. My lifelong goal. Spent 40 years doing it. I'm totally disgusted. I'm disgusted with what I seen over that 40-year career. I'm disgusted what I see now. I'm disgusted in a lot of things. I've got I wrote several books. Like most, we don't have no books for sale, so this is not a plug. I'm going to show these to you as I come to them, and I want to explain a little bit about my career and where I'm at, how I got this personality and hurt like I am. I'm hurt at these two guys. These two guys, it doesn't take but a bad police officer beating somebody up and them handcuffed. It doesn't take but bad charges on people or frivolous charges, and it can destroy our justice system. Corruption has no boundaries. One and two. I was looking through this right before I came on. I've got story after story after story in here of things that happen. That's the police academy here in Kentucky, Department of Criminal Justice. I worked for a sheriff one time, which my partner and I, Detective Hatfield, eventually had to go public, had to go to the media because the sheriff was so corrupt. We'd gone to the FBI, and I'll get on that in a minute, but they finally after the FBI agent was arrested, they turned the case over to the state police again, which we didn't. We knew the sheriff was connected to the Kentucky State Police, and there's an ID card for this. The sheriff had sent a 17-year-old boy. Now there's a whole lot more, probably more important stuff in here, but this is what hurts. The sheriff, as a favor to the newspaper editor, sent his son, a 17-year-old boy, to the police academy. He gave him a police ID card stating he was 21 years old, and they falsified his application for training. They did all this, and they sent this boy to the police academy. There's where he was in the police academy, and they actually sent a letter to the sheriff where he had failed test after test after test. They have to send a letter to your department if you fail anything in the academy, and then you take a retest. And if you don't pass the retest, you're returned to the department. Well, he would pass the retest and go on. And this is all redactions. There's a picture of the young man right there. His name was Jason England. Sent a 17-year-old boy to the police academy as a favor to the newspaper editor. There's his graduation thing. He didn't make it to graduation. Myself and Detective Hatfield called the police academy, and and told them what was going on. State police investigator, when he went after we turned the sheriff in, that was just one of the smaller things. This man was protecting drug dealers when we was working undercover. Probably more than likely got one of our informants killed. No proof of that, but probably, and that story's in there. The state police special investigations trooper went to the police academy and asked them about it, and they denied it to everybody. Anybody that would ask about it, they denied it. They finally admitted to this trooper, and I finally got open records requests years later and got all the information on it, but they denied it. The police academy, it was embarrassing. It was a bad deal. Wasn't their fault. All they could go on is what the sheriff, the paperwork he had sent them, and the ID that the boy had, but they denied it. Kentucky Department of Criminal Justice training, when I went through, they said it was in the top 3 police academies in the United States. That's what I call corruption. If you're in law enforcement and you do something wrong or bad, you're corrupt. You shouldn't be there. That's volume 1. Corruption has no boundaries. Now, in that book, there is from sheriffs to deputies to state police to judges, lawyers, prosecutors, the FBI, all the way to the governor of Kentucky. Governor of Kentucky had an affair with a woman that owns a nursing home. Denied it originally. He's got the Kentucky State Police security detail out, taking him to hotels to rendezvous with this woman for an affair. His security detail are state troopers, and they're covering for him while he's doing this. Corruption has no boundaries, volume 2. We're going to get to my point here in a minute. I'm trying to tell you how I got where I'm at. And if you think I've got a crappy attitude, where it came from. If you think I've got something to have a crappy attitude over, then that may explain it too. That's Susan Smith. That's Mark Putnam, young FBI agent. Google Mark Putnam. Google Susan Smith. He's out of prison now. Mark used to work with Mark Putnam, gave him bank robbers, myself and my Hatfield partner. We worked cases. We didn't care who got attention for nothing. We wasn't glory hogs. We let him and his partner, we gave his other partner the 4 sheriffs. We were the ones that got the call on 4 sheriffs dealing drugs, and they arrested them. Some of these we put in the back of our videos just to show. Mark Putnam was a young FBI agent, got hooked up with he's from Connecticut, came to Pike County, Kentucky. Some of the deputies that worked for the corrupt sheriff that had been there longer than we had and knew what was going on. They hooked him up with a little hillbilly girl, little Daisy Dukes, and he got her pregnant. She's going to tell his wife he killed her. First FBI agent in the history of the FBI to commit a homicide or be prosecuted for a homicide. He was the first. He's not been the last. I used to see Mark. I'd say, "How you doing, Mark?" He'd say, "Above reproach." Above reproach. The FBI, law enforcement, gone wild. This is not all of you guys. Don't come looking for Fred, but like I said, I'm almost 70, so the good ones won't. The good agents don't do that. It's only bad agents, bad police, bad prosecutors that does that stuff. Law enforcement gone wild. Above reproach or above the law. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's not showing up good there, but and guys, if you read that book, it's not for sale. It's not for sale. That's me. But if you read that book, it's written back in 2016, 2017. If you read it, or you read it now, you'd say, "My Lord, Fred's a fortune teller. Fred's a fortune teller. How did he know this? How did he know that? How did you know visor warrants were falsely been signed? How did you know that?" There's a comment in there. You can Google it. I'm sorry I'm getting off topic, but there's a comment in there, and I've sent the book to a few people through the years. Peter Strzok, when he's talking to his lover, Paige. And he says, she says, this is not going to happen. He's not really going to be our president, is he? And he says, no, we won't let it happen. Words to that effect. I won't let it happen. Maybe that's my place to stop it. Guess who else said words similar to that in history, guys? Guess who else? Go look at Peter Strzok's. I could find it there, but that's not what this video is about. Go look at Peter Strzok's words in that text message. That's not made up. That's copied right off his text. Look at that message, and then look what John Wilkes Booth told his girlfriend before he killed Abraham Lincoln. It's my duty. It's my duty to stop this. Makes you wonder. Guys, this video today is about Buford Pusser. Sheila and I, again, this is me talking. Let me just talk for Fred today. Never was a fan of Buford Pusser. Never was a foe. We knew who Buford Pusser was. We saw his movie back in '73 when we was both kids. This is not about taking up for a legend. This is not trying to, I don't care what he done before 1967. I don't care what he done after 1967, the ambush date. We discuss in some of our videos the car wreck because it's not proven. There's some allegations to some things, and I'll go over them. But I'm going to be addressing Mr. Mark Davison and TBI director David Roush. Now, David Roush is appointed by the governor of Tennessee. If I understand correctly, Mark Davison is elected. I could be wrong on that. If I'm wrong on anything, please correct me. It's certainly not intentionally. It's just through lack of research or ignorance. Call it what you will. I'm sure I'm going to hear both. It's okay. I'm asking that the governor fire David Roush. And I'm asking that Mr. Davison step down and resign from his position. These guys have lost all credibility. I'm not worried about the people under them because these guys have people that work for them. Some people follows orders. Some people stands up. I stood up and gave up my job. Now, on that FBI book there, I didn't tell you what happened on the Mark Putnam deal, the FBI agent. Mark Putnam had killed this girl and threw her over an old coal mining road in Pike County to rot. He killed her, threw over the hill, and he got away with it for a year and a half. He got away with it so good. He's the last one. She's going around showing people the pregnancy paper from the health department. They knew she was the last one to see her. She met him at a hotel. They transferred him to Miami, Florida. The FBI did. They transferred him to Miami, Florida to get him away from Pike County in eastern Kentucky. And they said that she had run off with a bunch of drug dealers to Chicago. He was a free man. He was free. He got away with it, living the life in Miami, Florida. My partner and I left holding a bag because we'd been going to Mark and Ron Poole, the two FBI agents, for 2 years on corruption in the sheriff's department. All of a sudden, he's transferred. He's gone. It's over. We start getting threats from the sheriff, physical threats. I won't go into all of it. And so we finally went to the media and held a press conference. That's how we finally, and then we were fired. We knew we was going to lose our jobs. We were just glad we didn't lose our lives. Or worse than that, be set up. Because the sheriff's, one of his best friends was the sheriff in Fayette County, and he'd got caught for insurance fraud and different things. And a deputy had turned him in, and he was trying to set the deputy up on cocaine. And the informant just happened to go to the feds, and that's what protected them. So when you're fooling with powerful people in law enforcement, you're fooling with some, what's that old Whoopi Goldberg say? You're in danger, girl, in that Ghost movie. Because I'm going to tell you something, guys. Take those suits off. Take those badges out of their pockets. They're no different. They're no different than the rest of us. When I was a cop, take that uniform off, take that badge off. You're no different than anybody else out here on the street. That uniform and that badge or that title or that degree doesn't make us. It doesn't give us character. It doesn't give us integrity. It doesn't give us dignity. It doesn't make us honest. I'm not mad. I'm upset. I'm hurt because you've got two guys right here that no doubt a lot of people in life have looked up to, including probably their children if they've got them. People look up to people in positions of authority, especially when you go this high. But don't misunderstand, just because you go high, 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 it doesn't make you more honest, honest, honest. A lot of positions in this life like that are political. They're either politically connected through being elected, like Buford Pusser was, or they're political from being appointed, like Mr. Roush was by the governor of Tennessee. Governor, you got to do the right thing. Bill Lee, I believe is his name. You've got to do the right thing, Governor. And anybody that lives in Tennessee, if you don't contact the governor and tell him to do the right thing and fire, this is a bad apple, in my opinion. Let me go ahead and go into that. There's a disclaimer at the end of this video. I don't think I need a disclaimer because, first of all, like I tell everybody, I don't have a pot to pee in or a window to throw it out. I was an honest cop. When you're an honest cop, you live on a cop salary, and you're not going to. When you see a cop, and these cops are living in these mansions and driving these fancy cars and doing, you better look good at that cop because cops don't make that kind of money. Let me just stick with my notes. A disclaimer's at the back. Don't think I need it. I try my best to be truthful. I try my best to say I may step on some toes, but I won't lie about it. If I say something that's incorrect, please correct me and I'll apologize, remove it. And if I don't, sue me. That's all I can say is if I do something that's not right, then everybody knows how to sue people in life. That's filing a suit is not that big a deal to people. Go through the videos where I go line by line. Guys, there's a video prior to this one on Hatfield McCoy Museum Adventures page. Just click on videos and start going backwards, and you'll see the press conference. I go over the entire press conference line by line. I'm going to do some of these remarks today, not to that degree, but on some of them, because I want to point some stuff out. It's funny how no one seems to have a problem dogging a dead man. These two guys, Oakley Baldwin, Mike Elam, they don't have no problem talking about old Buford Pusser. Man, they can put Buford Pusser, they can accuse him, they can call him everything they want. He's dead. He's in the ground. He's not here. He can't defend himself. He can't stand trial. He can't answer. Mr. Davison said he could get an indictment on him. Well, he can't answer to it. He can't defend himself against the indictment. He's dead. Dead man don't talk. He says that sometimes it comes, you got to have a voice from the grave or something. Somebody's got to represent. Well, he says he represents Pauline Pusser. Well, I represent Pauline, Dewana, Buford, Helen, Carl, represent the whole Pusser family because they've all been slandered, defamed, treated wrongly. Boy, you let somebody ask about their credibility. Right now, they're watching this video, and these two are having a fit. How can we get this guy? What can we do to him? Just like Mike Elam. I corrected Mike Elam on a couple of videos a while back. He's filed complaints. He's done everything in the world. He's a conniption. Sheila would call it a conniption. Why? He put Buford, he put Pauline, called Pauline a stripper, says Buford murdered his wife, says Dewana didn't save her dad from being burned, says Dewana just made things up all their life. When he goes to the museum, when Dewana was alive, it's okay to do a woman like that. And especially now that she's deceased, oh, it's really opened up now. Now that she's deceased and it doesn't appear that the family wants to do anything about it, it's wide open now. Well, guys, I got news for you. There's some grandchildren out there. And if those grandchildren will contact me, I'll put you in contact with some attorneys that's contacted us on these pages. And we will get you a lawsuit filed. It won't cost you a dime. And let these people prove their case, especially Mike Elam and Oakley Baldwin. Let's let them prove what they're saying. Because, see, that's what they like about these two guys. These two guys here saved their tail, they think. They think these two guys, by confirming or acknowledging that, yeah, Buford's killed his wife. If he was here today, I didn't die him. And that cleared them because they can say anything they want and they think they're cleared. Well, they can think that. It's all up to 12 people. It's all up to the lawyers and how good they are and how well they can convince a jury that what they've been hearing is hogwash. They've been hornswoggled. Hornswoggling's over. It's over. It's over. We need to either prove our case with evidence, not innuendos, not opinions, with evidence, or we need to apologize and have a retraction. We need to resign or be fired. Rumors. Poor Buford killed his wife, murdered his wife. Another one says poor Buford. He died drunk as a dog, 18. Never been proven, never will be proven, never has been proven. It's not all. There's more. It goes and goes, but that's the two biggest ones. I mean, how much worse could it be that you've been accused of killing your wife? Imagine one of these guys right here one day when they pass away and somebody comes out and says all kinds of things people can say. Imagine the internet being burning up with things that somebody, because all they got to do is type it. All they got to do is say it, and it will take off. They won't be enough people to defend, just like with Buford. Buford, it seems there's more on the bad side because bad seems to carry better. Bad, just something about people. They'd rather push the bad news or a bad rumor than they would the truth anytime. Imagine that happening to these two gentlemen here someday. And how their family's going to feel. Where does it end? With declaring someone guilty without proof or a trial. Where does it end? Is it me and you next? Who are they going to? I used to have a word I'd say for that, but I don't talk like that no more. But who are they going to go after next? Guys, I'm going to ask some questions as I go along. Sometimes I play devil's advocate. Sometimes I just, where's the Tennessee State Police in this case? Where's the Tennessee State Police detectives? I don't know much about Tennessee law enforcement and all that, but I'm sure they've got a state police agency because I see where they arrest sober drivers for being drunk a lot. They're known for that, but I'm sure they've got investigators. Where are they at? Where's the FBI in this case? Forensic, ballistics, blood splatter, all these. There's nobody better equipped than the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And there's no better director in the history of the FBI than what is out there right now. They're cleaning house and taking names. Law enforcement, again, maybe they can bring some credibility back. I don't know, to the FBI, because I've always said there's good agents, but there's also bad. Like everything else, there's bad. Where's the FBI in this case at? Did you see any FBI agents up there standing on that stage? Did you see any ATF agents? Well, wait a minute. We got a stolen gun. We've got a stolen military, United States government property, Department of War issued M1 rifle stolen. Where's the ATF at? Anytime you have a stolen gun, something like that, anything dealing with firearms, and you really want to up it a level, hey, need you up here. And you put it in the ATF's hands because the ATF is federal. Oh, they got so much more power and clout than these little Tennessee officers and prosecutors. ATF is great when you're dealing with a firearm, but wait, if we brought the ATF in, they may decide to charge the two people that's been in possession of this stolen firearm for all these years or known about it. Went out and shot a stolen firearm. The ATF would have a field day with that. Not these two. These two want justice. Justice for Pauline. We can forget about justice for anybody else. We just want, wait a minute, why we want justice with Pauline for? What a case. Ooh, history making case, one of them says you'll hear after a while. History making case. ATF, FBI, nowhere around. Like Buford, the TBI and Mr. Davis is a one-man show. You know, they talk about old Buford Pusser. They put Buford down. They call him a murderer. They call him a drunk. All these things. Do you know why the TBI and the state police didn't like Buford Pusser back in the 70s? Because Buford made a movie in 73. He didn't have the state police in there. He didn't brag on the state police. He didn't brag on the TBI. He didn't brag on them. Buford was a one-man show. He was a one-department show. Him and his deputies, they cleaned up McNairy County. Yeah, he was rough. I'm not taking up for him for that. I don't know all that stuff. Don't know everything about it. You talk to people I've arrested in life, some of them they'd say, "Oh, Fred was tough." Yeah, if Fred told you was under arrest, you were going to jail. It was up to you how you went. You could go to the hospital first. You could go to the morgue, but you're going with me. Now, I never took nobody to the morgue. Thank the Lord. That was one of my prayers. I've taken some to the hospital. Not my fault, not due to me. But when you go to arrest somebody, you can't leave without them, especially when you're in the mountains. This is not about me. This is not about Fred. This is about Buford Pusser and them two men behind me and two more book writers. He was a one-man show, just like Mr. Roush with the TBI. He's a one-man show. He wanted the TBI to have this attention so bad that he didn't involve the FBI. He didn't involve the ATF. Now, you'll hear in one of these statements where one of them says, "Oh, we involved some outer agencies. We involved ballistics expert so-and-so, and they said that it looked like it was set a stage." This one said it was staged. At least one person said it was staged. And guys, my question has been, does any of these guys know each other? Is this somebody's nephew that works on another police department somewhere, teaches at a police academy somewhere, ballistics expert somewhere, blood splatter expert somewhere, but they're intertwined and they say, "Hey, nephew, listen, I know you got that title there. I know you're expert. If you want to make history, I need to fill me out a page report where I got something to go on here and I'm going to put us down in history here. We're going to make history." And they did. They did. They made history forevermore. You can't take it away from them. You can never, no matter what you do in life, you can never take this moment away, that press conference where they claimed that Buford Pusser, the sheriff, McNairy County at one time, you can never take that away. It'll always be there. And there's always going to be some that believe that it happened. Can I believe that it happened? Of course. Had I seen evidence? There is no evidence, guys. Had there been evidence, it would have been on that stage that day. I'm going to let you hear some videos in a minute. When you hear these videos, go along with me and see what your thoughts are. I could be wrong. I tell everybody, guys, people sometimes insult me. You don't see me on here with, I've got them. I've got a bunch of certificates downstairs. I could cover a wall and put behind me and I could sit in front of it. And even when I had an office and all this and that, I didn't have a lot of that stuff up. That's not what it's about. Papers don't make a man. Certificates don't make the man. Degrees don't make the man. Do the right thing, correct the wrong done toward Buford Pusser and the Pusser family. Stand up, be the better men, and resign, both of you. Governor, you either need to fire Roush and Mr. Davison needs to resign, or they can both resign. Resign, guys. You let the Tennessee public down. You let the citizens of Tennessee down. You really did. If there was evidence there, guys, we would have seen it that day on that stage. I don't want to repeat myself because when I see these videos, it's going to bring back thoughts. But if the evidence would have been there that day at that press conference, you wouldn't hear him up there talking about Walking Tall and fourth generation movie and this and what. He says, we don't have enough time to discuss. This case is so huge, we don't have enough time to discuss it. Well, get away from that Buford Pusser story and Walking Tall and discuss it. Nothing to discuss. They're feeding you a line, guys. And they thought everybody would buy it. They actually thought they would stand up there and with them degrees and them suits and them badges, and people would buy it. If I'm wrong, all they got to do is prove me wrong with evidence. They can't do that because the evidence has been destroyed. They've got a couple of hoodlums out here running around shooting stolen military rifles that they don't even charge. And they're going to prove a 58-year-old case. They've got at least 2 children that's missing in Tennessee and been missing for the last year or 2. Not 58 years. This case can still be, this is a fresh case. This ain't even cold yet. It ain't even warm. They're not concerned about finding 2 children or prosecuting the people that's responsible for their demise, more than likely. A couple of winners right here. It's Fred McCoy's opinion. A couple of winners. They're in the same category as Mr. Elam and Mr. Baldwin. Couple of winners. Fame, fortune, and name, notoriety. I'll show you in a minute. Name, notoriety. You were wrong to accuse him for murdering his wife at a press conference with nothing more than opines. Opinions. I didn't used to know what that word was. I told you, I don't profess to be a smart man. I've never professed to be a smart person. I didn't know what opines mean. I actually thought when he was saying that on that stage, that was that doctor's last name. Dr. So-and-so opines, says that blood splatter was this, says that Buford shot himself in the face, says he opines. That's his opinion. Doctor's doing nothing more than giving us his opinion, like we all don't have opinions. Since when do we prosecute and persecute other people on national TV with nothing more than opinions? Attorneys, I know you're out there. The attorneys are out there because we hear from them. We hear from retired police officers, current police officers. I'm sure there's some that follows Mr. Elam, maybe. We haven't heard from anybody. There's not been a police officer. They might be now, but I've not heard a police officer say, I disagree with you, and I've been a police officer so-and-so, and I've not heard that. We've not heard from no attorneys that says that they agree with what Mr. Davison has said and alleged. He didn't allege. He said Buford done it. All these attorneys that's contacting us, and I'm telling you again, family, if you'll contact us, we'll hook you up with some attorneys that will file some suits for you and probably let you retire one day. All we need is a impartial jury to hear the evidence from these 2, their investigators, and Elam and Baldwin. That's all we need. And let the jury hear it. Let the evidence fall. We'll show you what evidence is, or we'll show you what the lack of evidence looks like. Without due process of law. Buford Pusser never gets his day in court. He's a murderer. Never been convicted of a crime in his life. And it went from law-abiding citizen, law enforcement officer. Listen, if he was corrupt, you think I write 3 books and brag on people and sheriffs and FBI agents, and you think I do that and brag on them? Read those books. I tell it like it is. If I thought for a minute, and we have looked and looked and looked. There's a difference in being a law enforcement officer back in the 60s. I was a law enforcement officer in the 70s. And believe me, the 70s to now, different world. Different world. It was a different world until the last couple of years. And I'll tell you, the last couple of years with the abuse that police officers are handing out and what's going on it's worse than the 60s or 70s. And if we keep on, if we allow things to go on like we're allowing, it's going to get worse. Buford Pusser was innocent until proven guilty, not indicted. He's not. An indictment is not a conviction. You're not guilty till you're convicted by a jury of your peers. I'm not a lawyer, guys. Didn't even stay at a Holiday Inn last night. It's just something I picked up in 40 years of being a police officer. Just something I may have heard in a courtroom somewhere, that an indictment is not a conviction. Probably something that a good law student learns within the first 6 months of law school. Buford should have been afforded his day in court to defend himself. These same allegations, they were back there. We put newspaper articles out where one prosecutor held the same position. Mr. Davison, back in 1967, he held the same position that Mr. Davison holds today, and he's in the newspaper. They're quoting him. And he says, this is a lie. This is a rumor. There's nothing that supports this rumor or allegation that Buford Pusser had anything to do with the death of his wife. 58 years ago, when it was fresh on everybody's mind and the evidence was there, the car was there, the officers were there, the witnesses, anybody you wanted to talk to. But all these people's dead now, or most of them, and we're going to come up here and so sad. See, I always put myself in somebody else's position. Imagine, guys, you all listening to me, if this was your father, if this was your uncle, if this was your brother. Imagine. There's an old saying. I used to hear people say this, and I didn't pay much mind to it, but I do now. Back the blue until it happens to you. Back the prosecutor till it happens to you. Back the badge until it happens to you. If it can happen to Buford Pusser and him in the ground dead, it can happen to you. I have a feeling there's 4 people in life, at least, that someday when they pass, their grandchildren and great-grandchildren are going to reap the sorrow of listening to people, because people are harsh. I don't wish it on nobody. I'm not wanting it. I just know how people are. And I have a feeling that people's reputations, I hope they enjoy them while they're living, because I have a feeling that when they're gone, and none of us are getting any younger, everybody involved is older. The difference in other people and Fred McCoy is I really don't care. I really don't care. When they put me in that box and in that ground, I'm good. Hopefully I'm in God's hands. Hopefully. I don't know where I'll be. Sometimes I have doubts of where I'm going. If not retraction, allow attorneys to stand this thing trial. Stand it trial, Mr. Davison. You prosecute it. I'd love to see a couple of good defense attorneys go up against you as a prosecutor with the rumors and the innuendos and the opinions that you have. I'd love to hear you presenting your case to a jury when you tell them that this doctor opines that Buford shot himself in the jaw. He shot his whole cheek off, his whole chin, his jaw. But I like to hear you tell the jury that, and then let's let that doctor get up there and explain, and then let's let some of these other doctors, other ballistics experts, other blood splatter experts that also has more, the same or even more expertise than probably some of the people that you've got to make that little report out so you could stand up there on your press conference, because that's what you did. Guys, I know I'm harsh. I'm sorry. But it's as okay for me to say what I'm saying about these guys as it is for them to say what they say about Buford with no evidence. The difference in about me saying this about them and them saying it about Buford is they're here to retaliate. They're here to correct something if I say it wrong. They're alive. Buford's dead. Buford can't defend himself. You and a few others have tarnished a man's reputation, a family's reputation between the 4 of you. Make all the so-called evidence available to defense attorneys, medical examiners, ballistics experts, witnesses, blood pathologists, expert witnesses. Make it all available. Everything that you say you got, make it available. And then stand at trial and let's see what a jury says. Let's see if a jury convicts a dead man that's not even here to speak up for himself. I think good defense attorneys could. Someone who knows how to do the online petition, please start one. Justice for Buford Pusser and the Pusser family. Guys, I've seen these before. We had a police officer over in Danville, Kentucky, beat an old dementia man up, had dementia, beat him up on the ground, 70 or 80 years old. And they started a petition, got hundreds of thousands of names, if I remember. Everybody was signing that petition. I don't know if it does any good or not, but these two men here wanted their names to be in public. They wanted to be famous. We can make them famous. Somebody out there that knows how to start these online petitions, please start a petition. Justice for Buford Pusser, and that we are asking for the firing or the resignation of these two gentlemen, Mr. Mark Davison and Mr. David Roush. That's nothing. I'm not saying this to be facetious. I'm not saying it to be mean. I'm not saying it to be inciting. I'm saying it because it's the right thing to do. You don't have the evidence, guys. You don't have the proof. You've got rumors. You've got opinions. We're going to show you when I start playing this. I'm going to show you when I start playing this tape. Americans want either a retraction of statements made accusing Buford of murder or the resignation. I think we don't care about the retraction anymore. I think most people just wants the resignation, because I don't think if they can trust you on this case, they can trust either one of you on another case. I wouldn't, in my opinion, I don't trust you. I trust you two guys about as much as I do Oakley and Mike. Falsely accusing Buford, a dead man, of a crime for which he has no way to defend himself. Where's the car? Let's get to the important part. Where's the evidence? We're going to hear a tape here in a minute where one of them asked about the evidence, said, we got evidence. Do you? Where's the car? We know the received stolen gun is now one of the guns used in the ambush. It's a proven fact, Mike Elam says. Mike Elam says the stolen gun, we know the recovered stolen gun is not one of the guns used in the ambush. Because we know that because Mike Elam says in one of his videos that somebody was called, a friend of Buford's was called to go get the guns out of the trunk of the car. I guess they're trying to say now that Buford shot him and his wife and then shot the car all up with 2 or 3 different guns, put the guns in the trunk of the car. They took him to the hospital. TBI or the state police or nobody else is smart enough, I guess, to open that trunk up and say, hey, should we see if there's anybody dead in the trunk? Hey, should we look in the trunk? A police officer would bust that trunk open so fast and look to see make sure everything's secure. They say it went to a garage, Chevrolet garage, and he went and got the guns out. Yeah. If there's a gun that was never used in an ambush in its life, it's the gun that Mike Elam and that other guy carried around and shot to get them some casings to go throw out, in my opinion, later on as evidence that would match up with that gun that the TBI now has. I hate to say that. That's my opinion. Why else would a person shoot a stolen gun and get empty casings, empty projectiles? Why? Why hasn't Elam been charged with the crime of possession, with tampering with evidence, with so many charges there? There's the two guys right here. This is who you would ask that to, guys. I'm sure there are phone numbers in the book. I'm sure you can get a hold of these guys. That's the only director of the TBI, and that's the only prosecutor in that precinct. Not hard to get a hold of if y'all want to call and ask them. Guys, why hasn't Mike Elam been charged? Why hasn't this other guy been charged with having the stolen gun, possession of it, shooting it, playing with it, carrying it around, making up stories with it, tampering with evidence? Use your own imagination. Somewhat like they done with, make up your own charges, Mr. Prosecutor. You can make up your charges. You did it for Buford. You shouldn't have no problem coming up with a charge for Mike Elam. Maybe see if you can get an indictment. Well, you don't have to do that because, guys, I've said it before. You can indict a bologna sandwich, but you can also go in there in that suit as a prosecutor and walk out. You can tell them everything you want to tell them to say that you presented the case, and then walk out without an indictment if a prosecutor doesn't want an indictment. You can do that too. So, as Americans, we can't stand for this type of conduct. Buford, today, us tomorrow. Governor of Tennessee, we're calling on you to fire that man. Stand up for one of the most famous lawmen to ever serve in the history of Tennessee. One of the most famous lawmen, Buford Pusser, made Tennessee and McNairy County famous. Never been convicted of a crime, and we come up 58 years later because he's got some notoriety, he's got a name, and we figure, hey, instead of being famous for ourselves, let's just steal his glory. Let's connect our name to his name. In fact, let's dog his name, move our name up there. Let's make him look bad so we can look good. Ooh, my dad used to say, Fred, you never have to make somebody else look bad for you to look good. Just work harder. That's what he said. I've heard that more than a few times in my day. I don't think none of these guys' dad ever told them that. Don't let him be defamed by a man you appointed to lead the TBI. The governor, Bill Lee, appointed Philip Rouse to be the director of the TBI. Governor, it's time he retires or resigns or he's fired. It's time. Guys, I'm almost done here. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to start trying to play some videos. Now I'm going to be fumbling around. So, and I don't care what order they come in. Let me just play one. Whatever I hit, I'm going to talk about, and we'll see if you guys pick up on same things I do.
Is thorough and exhaustive, and the scope and breadth of it exceeds our ability to discuss it in detail today. That is one reason
I don't know if that was all of it,
thorough
guys.
and exhaustive. Spawned the movie Walking Tall in 1973, several sequels, a 2004 remake, and several books. This case and those retellings generated substantial public interest.
Sure they did. Sure they did. First of all, let's talk about the statement. He says, this case is so huge that we're not going to be able to discuss it all here today. He's got time to discuss the Walking Tall movie. He's got time to discuss Buford Pusser. He's got time, a sequel, number 4. He knows all about Buford Pusser's movie history. We're having a press conference to accuse Buford Pusser of murdering his wife. Wouldn't it have been nice to at least heard some evidence that how he murdered his wife, how it happened? Where's the evidence? Holding this gun up, holding these bullets up, holding this. See, guys, it just comes to me, and that's how I talk. But in that car, you'll see Pauline's car window shot out. In the autopsy video we did, you see the top of her head gone. In something I seen with Dennis Hathcock, he says that he found a piece of Pauline's skull laying in the ditch with the hair still on it. I've done that before. I found people's heads hanging from the ceiling where it blew up. Looks like toilet paper hanging down. But he says that. He said in that autopsy they found fragments of a bullet or bullets. Fragments. Did they? I don't know. I'll tell you what they didn't find. They didn't find bullets. If you'll look at that head, both sides, and that window, when that scalp went out the window, that bullet went with it. There's no bullets in that head. They don't have 30 caliber or 30-06. Guys, these rounds will go through a animal. Are we to believe that those bullets, there's going to be anything in that brain to compare with a high velocity rifles? There's no bullets in that head. I kind of doubt that there's fragments. I kind of doubt. They may have found something just enough to say we found fragments. Them bullets ain't in that head. Those bullets went through that head. Look at the damage to that head. That's exit wounds. Those bullets are gone. Now, he says the case is too big to discuss today, but we spent 5 minutes talking about Walking Tall and the movie and all that. And then he says here at the end that it's the fact that it's let me get another one up here. It's the fact that it's other people's come forward. Guess who come forward, guys? Mike Elam and Oakley Baldwin. Why would they come forward for, I wonder? Why would people have all this stuff out there that they want this case reopened? Oh, that's right. They write books. I'm sorry. I'm being facetious. She's not here, but if she was, she'd be kicking me right now. All right, I'm going.
This case and those retellings generated substantial public interest and placed Pauline's murder in an historical but inaccurate posture. That history must be measured against the facts in plain view.
I wish they'd put their facts in their press conference, don't you all? I wish they would have put some facts in their press conference, because they're not there, guys. The facts are not here. He says justice for Pauline. Who else says justice for Pauline? Where did we first ever hear justice for Pauline at? Yeah, we all know where we heard it. Just like you're going to hear Mr. Roush after a while say that the story goes. Who else starts their videos with the story goes? Okay, guys, the story goes. And that's how Mr. Roush even talks after a while. Let me see, was that all that one?
Justice for Pauline has been a long time coming. This case and those
Justice for Pauline been a long time coming. That's Mike Elam's slogan, guys. This one started. Hold on, guys. Guys, this is all new to me. I don't think I've got nothing on this one.
modern investigative techniques and forensic science unavailable in 1967.
Guys, I've said it before. I'll say it again here. It don't matter how modern we are, what modern technology we've got. Again, there's nobody got more modern technology than the FBI. Why wasn't the FBI called in? Why wasn't the largest law enforcement and best equipped law enforcement agency in the United States called in to do ballistics, do blood, do anything? Why wasn't they called in? In some of our videos, we show a newspaper article where the FBI was called in back in 1967. The FBI was called in at the ambush site. The state police, the TBI, the FBI was there. Now, do you guys think maybe there might be some bragging rights here? When you see a 1967 newspaper article and it says FBI has joined the investigation, and 58, and nobody's charged, and 58 years later, the TBI solves the crime. You think there might be something like Buford was doing back in the day? Maybe Buford was getting all the glory, and it made the other law enforcement agencies mad. I wonder how the FBI feels right now when the FBI says, hey, we had blood splatter people, we had ballistics people, we could have had a field day on this case. It wouldn't have been opinions when we got done. We would have had legal novels for you to read. We could have had so much evidence for you, but they didn't do that. They come back with opines. They come back with opinions, but they didn't call the FBI in. Why would they? Why would they want the FBI or the ATF involved with them? Oh, that's right. They wouldn't get as much attention. They wouldn't get as much glory. See, this is a Davison and Roush story right here. Now, I know there's some people over to the side there. I'm not going, them guys work for people. They do what they're supposed to do. Not everybody's like Fred McCoy and gives up your job to stand up for the right thing. The thing is, what I always look for in people like that is that as it goes down the road, and even in that book right there, the last page of that book, it says what it's going to take for the FBI. This was 8 years ago. What it's going to take for the FBI to ever regain credibility and power back in their name and their agencies is some good, law-abiding FBI agents. They're going to lose their job, but they're going to have to stand up. They're going to have to become whistleblowers. And when they become whistleblowers and they start turning over all these people, especially higher ups, that's doing all these bad things, then you'll see your FBI straighten up. That's what you're seeing today. You're seeing whistleblowers. You're seeing people come forward. The thing is, how do we know, Mr. Roush, Mr. Davison, that these assistants that's over to the side there won't come up one day and write their own book? Maybe they'll retire one day. Maybe they'll write a book. Or maybe they'll hold a news conference. Or maybe they'll tell people, well, I was told to do this. I was told to do that. Here's the meeting we had. Here's what went on. Here's the aim that we had. Here's the direction we were going with this case. Wouldn't that be great, guys? It can happen. It happens all the time. They're called whistleblowers. They're called people that's actually got dignity and character and honesty. That's what they're called. And sometimes they come forward and they say, I'm not going along with this. You didn't see me speak. You've seen one guy there speak. You've seen one guy put on the spot. And a lot of times people, they do this. They do this on purpose. I'm not saying this happened in this case, but a lot of times, if I'm involved in something, I want, oh, come on, here, eat some of this. I stole this bag of candy. Eat some of this candy here. Well, now you eat some of the candy. Now you're as guilty as I am. You've eaten stolen candy. Example. One of these guys called on his assistant. Come up here. I'll let you talk to that. He come up here. What did he say? He said, I can best advise you just to read the report. I thought that was admirable. I thought that was admirable because he's not putting himself out there. He's not putting his voice out there. He's not saying nothing with his mouth that somebody can come back later on and say, hey, you said this. He said, no, I said, read the report. Who did the report? I guarantee you these two guys are going to say they never had nothing to do with the report. It was the peons. It was the ones below them. But what did they tell them to put in the report? What did they tell them they needed before they could hold a press conference? People are smart, guys. People can word things in a manner that they're not lying, but they're not telling the truth. They're pointing you in a different direction than you need to go or you should be going. It don't make it right. It's not. Let me play another one. I'm almost done.
The question is about what inspired our team to take a look at this again, and then any information about the weapon itself that came into our.
Hey guys, in one of those reports, we just done a video a couple of days ago, and if he's got a problem, I'm sorry. I don't know this gentleman. I don't know. He may have a stuttering issue in life. If he does, I'm sorry. I don't know that. I called a person earlier from Adamsville and asked them. They'd known Buford all their life. And Sheila and I asked them, did Buford have a stuttering problem? They said, no, he didn't have no stuttering problem. Well, see, in that report, we just done a video on Mike Elam's DUI, where he says that Buford was driving drunk and blood test was 18 BAC. And one of those statements that he's reading off, he said one of these guys at the fair that night said Buford had something wrong with him. He was stuttering more than usual. Well, according to people in Adamsville, Buford didn't stutter at all. Now, I don't know if Mr. Roush stutters. You guys that know him, you know whether he stutters or not. I'm going to back this up a minute because I want you to hear this. Now, if this is true, if what they said about Buford Pusser, they said because Buford Pusser was stuttering at the fair that he was drunk. He must have been drunk because he was stuttering and wasn't acting right. That means Mr. Roush here could very possibly be intoxicated right now, according to what Mike Elam says about Buford Pusser. Since we're comparing apples and oranges, and since hearsay evidently and opinions is allowed, I guess I'm allowed to say that. That's my opinion, and I'm just going to back it up here. I want you to listen to this. He's trying to say something here.
The question is about what inspired our team to take a look at this again, and then any information about the weapon itself that we were that came into our knowledge.
Guys, that right there to me as an investigator, if I would, and him too, he's done it long enough to know. If he'll sit back and watch his own video, what I just played, he's sitting there thinking, wow, if he doesn't have a stuttering problem. No, he's got a stuttering problem. That's I can't go for that. But if this man don't have a stuttering problem, he's acting like that. If I was interviewing him or interrogating him on a crime, it's a bad sign. Right there's a bad sign that somebody's not saying he's not. I'm about to, but I won't go that far to put my foot in my mouth. But it's a bad sign. Let's listen.
So as with most cases that have yet to be resolved, our team is always taking looks back and trying to see if new sets of eyes can.
The question was about the gun. Did the gun match up and so forth? Now we're just a little bit into it. Imagine how much bull he's just distributed out here in the last, ever how long it's been there. I can't see the little clock, but how much bull has he done distribute? Instead of just answering the question about the gun, he's standing there talking about how we look at other cases, we do this, we do that. We're here on Buford Pusser's case. This is filling the gap. This is throwing it out there, guys. Trying to take a little bit of time. He's giving you a whole lot of information about nothing, my opinion.
Determine information that might help in these cases. And we've had a push in the past few years on code case, taking a look at all of our cases that.
Now, we've had a push the last couple of years because Oakley and Mike Elam has really been pushing their books and their book tours. They've really been pushing their tours the last couple of years. He says they've had a push on cold cases. Now, you know what would be nice here to see? And again, hopefully if they come up with something and show us something that's not true, maybe somewhere down the road, one of their agents or somebody will come back and say, hey, they made me go dig this up and I had to show them this, but this, so be a good time to show us some of these other code cases. Show us what other 58-year-old case you've worked on. Because see, before you go to a 58-year-old case, you'd think you'd go to a 10-year-old case. Let's get the 10-year out of the way. Let's get the 20 out, the 30. Then we finally get to the 50. Let's go to the closest one. Let's get it over with. They've been working on no code cases, in my opinion. I think that's a line. He can prove us wrong. He can come out and say, well, we worked on this case, and this case. You know the case they should be working on? Sebastian Rogers. Wouldn't that be something? Summer Wells, Sebastian Rogers. We're working on a 58-year-old case. So sad. If that was our daughter, if that was your daughter, your son.
That have yet to be resolved, and trying to determine if there is more investigative effort, could it turn out more information? And this was one of those cases that was picked up and looked at, and as the investigators read through the file, they noticed some possibilities of.
They didn't notice possibilities, guys. I'll throw my opinion in there. Listen to the next word. Here's what come up. It wasn't looking through the file and seeing possibilities. Listen. Of
a different direction and more information that was burning that we needed, and so that led to kind of the further look at it, and then just fortunate that we got a call about the weapon.
Oh, more information came up, and then they got a call about a weapon.
And so that potential homicide weapon was provided to us, and so that too was part of our evidence to further the investigation, and really kind of took the investigation a little in a new direction with new vigor.
Guys, I'm going to tell you something about the investigation. They thought they used that gun to dig Pauline up. They're saying, well, we might be able to find a bullet there that matches this gun. Well, you're not, because that gun was locked away, according to Mike Elam, in the trunk of a car. wasn't that gun. The bullets are not there. The bullets went through the head, so they're not there. But they thought they were going to find evidence of a beating. They thought either Mike Elam or one of them says, I think it was Oakley maybe, or maybe even both, said maybe this autopsy will come back and show some defensive wounds where she's defended herself or some of the abuse that she's had taken. One of them said the autopsy proves that she was beat up. Come out and said he's got a video on it. I did a video on it. It's on Fred McCoy 40. Sheila don't put all of them on her channel. Some of them's a little bit more, and I put them on my channel. So go to Fred McCoy 40. But he says in his own words, the autopsy showed that Pauline was beat up. Autopsy don't show that at all. Autopsy shows her head blowed off. She was shot. No teeth out. No facial bones broken. Neck's not bothered. Everything about the autopsy shows she was in good shape. Everything they thought they were going to prove in the other direction proved exculpatory for Buford Pusser. It proved the other way. No defensive wounds. Her body's in good shape. No broke teeth. Dentures were good. Everything was good. They had an old broke nose from years ago. That's her other husband. If anybody, she could have done that playing sports in school. It's a sad. Let me play one more, guys. I ain't got but a couple more, and we'll be done with this.
Am I making
Talk about the gun there.
So
he said something on that last video about that gun that I was going to talk about, that the gun come up, and that's what led them in that direction. Again, the two people that brought the gun had possession of the gun. One of them had possession of the gun, him or his father, for the last 60 years. I think Sheila done some research. I think it was 1958 when they started rotating the M1 rifle out with the M14. M1 rifle to M14. Now, when I was in 75, we had started out with M14s, and they transitioned them out to the M16. Now, they had already had the M16 in Vietnam, but they started all the bases that didn't have M16s, they replaced the M14. So 1958. So somebody's had this gun for 60 years, over 60, 67 years. 67 years somebody's had possession of this gun. Man says it was his dad's, and then he got it. Well, how long's his dad been dead? How long's he had it for? Because he's known it was stolen. And then he calls Mike Elam because Mike Elam says that he thought that Mike Elam was the man. He was the man for the job. Mike Elam goes out and shoots it. Neither one of them's been charged with a stolen gun. I find that the most. These two guys here want justice, but
no, I would tell you that that again.
This guy asked a question out in the audience.
Am I making too big a leap there?
So no, I would tell you that that again through witness interviews, statements from individuals who were around during that period, you'll find that you're not making a leap.
You'll find you're not making a leap. Now, he says in another statement, I can only put, and I couldn't figure this thing out by myself, so I done the best I could do on it. But so I didn't get to put all the videos I wanted to. But he says in another one that statements from then and now. Well, why would we have statements from now? Who's here now that would matter about claiming that a dead man done something? Who would have any bearing? It would be witnesses from then. Statements from then, not statements 58 years later, not something just to put in a file like we can say, well, we were told this, you were told that 58 years later. Where was the TBI and the FBI that had the same evidence back in that day, back in 1967? They didn't charge. They didn't make these accusations or claims that a man killed his wife. And they had the people there to interview and look at. Sad, guys. Let me go this last one, I believe. I may have two more left. It's coming up.
Today, as you've heard, the General has taken steps to make available to the public the full record of this investigation. This is a rare step, but it's one that we support. It provides more transparency and demonstrates the exhaustive nature of our work in an extremely controversial and historic case. From our perspective, there are 5 key developments.
From our perspective, let's see what the evidence is. This is interesting because when he gets to number 3 here, the autopsy, I'm thinking, wow, I want to hear this because we've gone over the autopsy extensively. We really got into that. And he gets to number 3 and see when it comes up to the autopsy, let's see what he tells you about the autopsy. But we're going to stop it on the first one.
We've learned as a result of this recent investigative endeavor. Number 1, significant inconsistencies in the statement of Buford Pusser.
Significant inconsistencies in the statement of Buford Pusser. I could be wrong. Maybe it's in that 1,000. Some say it's up to 2,000 now. Some say they're correcting as they go along. Every time somebody does a video or post on Facebook, they inconsistencies. Guys, Sheila and I have never seen. We've got Buford's statement. We got a paper that says this is Buford's statement. We've got papers that says that. None of them are initialed. None of them are signed with Buford's signature. The statement that we have is talking in third person. He went here. He went there. He said they shot there. He said that's third person. That means that somebody else has typed that up. They've typed it up, and that's the statement. There's no signature at the bottom like you've seen on the DUI case where Trooper Paul Irvin said that he'd signed his statement. We've not seen a statement anywhere where Buford Pusser has signed it. How can these people say that Buford Pusser's statements was inconsistent or not true when we don't even know that Buford Pusser gave a statement? We don't even know that. So that's one. So we can rule that out.
And the physical evidence documented and observed.
And the physical evidence documented and observed. That would include the car, guys. That would include the car that she was killed in, that the windows were shot out of, that the doorpost was shot up, the windshield was shot out. It's not there. How can we conclude with that? Number two,
recent statements provided by people associated with this investigation.
Recent statements associated with people that's associated with this investigation. Who is that? Mike Elam, Oakley Dean. You hear Mr. Davison back there read off an email from Oakley Dean. He says, we're the family Oakley Dean. We'd like to thank you for giving justice for Pauline. Well, no wonder. He's got a book, Justice for Pauline. He's got a book that he's had out two weeks after they held their press conference. Buford Pusser murder solved. Pauline Pusser murder solved. 2 weeks. He already had the book out. He'd already been writing this book knowing what their results were going to come back with. Recent statements? Does any of you what would that have to do with what happened back on New Hope Road in 1967? Are we talking about statements or rumors or?
Number 3, the autopsy of Pauline Pusser. Number 4, evidence examined.
Whoa, wait a minute. Number 3, the autopsy of Pauline Pusser. Number 4. Wait a minute. Whoa. Back up to number 3 there, boss. Where's the autopsy? Where's this autopsy? Where's this 30 caliber bullet or bullets that match up to this stolen M1 rifle these boys have been out playing around and having gun practice with? Where's those bullets at? Tell us about the bullets that you found. Tell us about Mr. Davis's statement that he makes that, well, we know that it was the same type gun and caliber. Well, so was 6.2 million other ones. Wow. That's what you call talking in circles. That's what you call pulling the wool over your eyes. When you hear Mr. Davison, I'll try to put that at the back if I can figure out how to do it. That's what you call pulling the wool over your eyes, because Mr. Davison says, well, we can't, it's inconsistent, but it was the same type and caliber. So was 6 million other ones. Guys, this is called circumstantial. This is called made up. This is called garbage. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. These guys need to be fired or resign. If they're elected, you need to really think about it before you ever elect Mr. Davison. If his office is elected, you know, you can't see it right now. I'll try to put a snapshot in here, but right behind Mr. Roush's head there, it says Mark E. Davison. Right in front of Mr. Roush on that podium, it says Mark E. Davison. I believe behind the fella to the right, the black fella, I believe behind him it says Mark E. Davison. Name recognition? You think maybe somebody's wanting some name recognition? I don't know if it's true or not. Somebody told us, well, more than one, told us that Mr. Davison's ambitions is to run for governor of Tennessee. Is that true? We don't know. We're not from Tennessee. Could it be possible? Dealing with politics and stuff all my life and watching how dirty politics is, and you're seeing the name in at least two places, and I believe three. Very possible. Let's slander Buford Pusser so I can get my name out there. Let's go over number 4. He jumped the autopsy and went straight to number 4. I'll try to see if I remember.
Examined by TBI personnel.
No.
And number 14, Pusser. Number 4, evidence examined autopsy of Pauline Pusser.
There's autopsy.
Number 4, evidence examined by TBI personnel.
Number 4 was evidence examined by TBI personnel. TBI. Why not FBI? It's dealing with a firearm. Who's better in firearms and explosives than the ATF? Examined by the TBI. What did they examine, boss? What did they examine? The car? Because, see, the car is destroyed. The main piece of evidence in this, even bigger than the guns that was used that day, is the car. The car was your evidence. That's your blood splatter. That's your bullet hose. That's your direction of travel of the bullet. That bullet going through that windshield, did it go up and out the top of her head? Did it? What happened there? What was that bullet all about in the windshield? Or maybe even two. I don't know. We don't have the car to look at. The evidence, he says, examined by the TBI.
And number 5, the review and studies of experts external to the agency, reviewed from a multidisciplinary approach.
That's where I'd like to know if any of these guys that reviewed this is any relation to Mr. Roush, Mr. Davison, any of the other people on that stage. Are they any relation? Are they, hey Joe, listen, I've got a case up here. Aren't you a expert witness? Ain't you been classified? Guys, expert witness, just some judge, somebody has told you, you've worked enough cases that you've been classified at some point in life as an expert, or you've taken some kind of a course. There's people that holds law degrees that just because they're experts doesn't mean make them smart. Just because they've got a title of expert doesn't make them smart. You want the experts? What better? Outer agency. He says they went to outer agencies for their testing. What better outer agency to go to than the FBI? What better outer agency? This was planned, guys. This was orchestrated. This was, in my opinion, a conspiracy. This is a conspiracy where people have agreed, here's what we got, here's what we need to have, and here's where we need to go with it. And somewhere along the lines, it all comes together. Let me see. I think he's done there. Yeah, I think I got one more, fellas. I thought I had some of Mr.
To that, what you'll find in the case file is all of the statements and interviews of various individuals that both at the time and currently.
both at the time and currently. Why would we need current? Why would need 58 years later? That's why when a crime happens, as quick as you can, when something happens, you separate the witnesses, you put them in different rooms, and you go talk to them and see what the knowledge each one of them has individually. 58 years later, we've got statements now from people that's written books, from people that's gives tours, from people that have conspired with each other for a narrative. I'm sorry. I know you, some of you probably think I'm acting dramatic. Let me quit that because I don't want you to think that. This is unbelievable. This man here, I don't know how many years he's got in law enforcement. Surely it's just not a politician that the governor just come in there and said, hey, I'm going to make you over to TBI. Surely this man come up through the ranks at some point and he's actually a police officer. I don't know. I certainly can't tell. Certainly can't tell from what I'm hearing. He sounds more like Mr. Mike Elam than he does to me, a professional police officer. I'm sorry if I sound like I'm taking something away. I don't want to be insulting, but I don't know how else to put things. I've not been on this Christian road a long time, and I've always been straightforward, and I always just tell it like it is. I'm a straightforward person, and I'm trying to address things in a nice manner, but sometimes there's no way to say something nice. You just tell it. I don't trust this guy. I don't trust Mr. Davison's. Doesn't mean I'm correct. Could I be wrong? I could be. That's why I like hearing from other attorneys and other police officers, because as police officers and attorneys, you know how you think and how other people think, and whether I'm misjudging. If I've misjudged these men, I'm sorry. If I've misjudged them, I apologize. But looking at the evidence, looking at what they've got nothing. They're asking him about the evidence. Now, listen what he says here. Listen. He's done said he's got statements from then and statements from now. The statements from then is what mattered. The statements from then is why the FBI, the TBI, the state police, that's why nobody charged Buford Pusser with murdering anybody. It didn't happen. But we're bringing statements from today into it.
That were talked to by our investigators, and then you'll have an opportunity to look at all the evidence as well from the scene, and then the current forensic technologies applied to that evidence and what that shows.
Current. See, guys, it's great. We do have current. We got new innovations all the time in crime, CSI, crime scene investigations and such. All the time we've got new stuff. Who's got it better than TBI and these other people? It's FBI, but what are we going to do this technology on? What are we going to do these exams on? We're going to look at photographs. Sheila showed a photograph one time where you look at this car door and it looks clear and waxed. You look at it from the side and there's blood all over it. How do you go by a photograph? You can't go by a photograph. That's only a part. That's only one element of an investigation. You might take that photograph. You might take these measurements. You might take these footprints. You might take this broken glass. You might take the projectile. And then you might take where it came from, the car, or what it went into, the car. Where was all the blood at? The car. Where was the blood splatter? You'll hear one of them. You won't hear it because that's all I could get on here. One of them says they done 3 tests, 3 blood splatter tests. This specialist did. This blood splatter expert done 3 tests, and all 3 tests come back conclusive to what? That it's blood splatter? Because you can't blood splatter a piece of evidence that's not there. The car's not there. You can't look at a picture and then come up. You can do it. They done it. They wrote a letter and said, in my opinion, I think this blood splatter don't compare with the photograph. I think it was a staged scene. A staged scene. Man could have went out and blew his wife's head off, put a gun in her hand, and, oh God, I'll come over and look at her. That's what he could have done. He's the sheriff of the county. Everybody says he had friends everywhere. Okay. Sheriff of the county, call one of your deputies and say, yep, here, call your coroner. They said he's friends with the coroner. Okay. Call Dr. Pillar. Shouldn't have had no problem. Dr. Pillar come in there and say, yep, suicide to me. Suicide's one of the easiest crimes there is to replicate, guys. That's why we're concerned about Dewana. Dewana. They say Dewana. I even heard a friend of hers say, oh no. No, it was S side. How do you know? It's what the autopsy said. Really? How do we know? Go Google sometime. We done a series of cases on this, on Johnny Edrington, a Kentucky State Trooper that was killed on the side of the road. And some of his fellow troopers tried to say that it was a suicide. Go Google suicide, or go look at our videos on suicide and look and see how easy it is, how many of these cases we came up with where these people set up a S side, tried to make it look like homicide, either for insurance money or suicide's one of the easiest things there is to homicide, make it look like a S side. Very easy. We're wondering because after Dewana was killed or delifed herself, one or the other, after that, everything went wild. They started digging up Pauline because Dewana's dead. She was the next of kin in that line. The granddaughter doesn't seem to have an interest. Sad but true. I wish they would take an interest because I hear there's another one also. But so maybe one of them will someday take an interest, and we'll hook them up with some attorneys and we'll see where this case goes. This is the most unjust thing that I've seen in a long time. I have seen some unjust things in my 40-year career as a police officer. I think a lot of police officers have. Most of them don't speak out about it. Most of them just goes ahead and retire and goes on with. I don't know why I'm so outspoken like I am. I don't know what makes me like that. The Marine Corps, the dream that I had as a kid on up, that police officers could walk on water. They just didn't want to show off. That prosecutors could. There was no better people than somebody demanding justice, fair and equal justice for everybody with due process. I've said it in 2 or 3 of my videos. He's in that book. Corruption has no boundaries. I had a prosecutor, a Commonwealth attorney tell me one time, I had a guy in an attic with a gun on my partner. And rather than, I could have shot him, but rather than shooting him, back in the day, I was a martial artist and I was in pretty good shape. And he went down through the ceiling. He came down through the ceiling and into the kitchen floor around some other police officers, but he didn't shoot my partner and I didn't have to shoot him. Prosecutor told me, Fred, why didn't you rid society of him? Now this was a regular hood. He was always in trouble and he finally died of an overdose a couple of years later. But why didn't you rid society of him? And I said, John Paul, it's not my job to rid society of people. It's my job to bring them to jail and for you to prosecute them. This was a 50-year-old man. I was 20-some years old at the time. A young, influential cop. He could have influenced me if I would have taken that. I never wanted to shoot nobody. I grew up on Adam 12, Jack Webb. I grew up on these people that very seldom pulled their guns, much less had to kill somebody. Guys, I'm sorry the video took so long. I don't know if I know how to divide it in 2 halves. So I'm probably just going to post it in one video and you can watch it. You can watch it in halves. Somebody told me today, he said, I watched some of your videos. Some of them just too long. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry they're long. We don't do them for entertainment as much as we do for the information to be there for years to come for people to look at, or eventually we're going to stop this. This may be the last video we do. I don't know. This may be the last video Sheila and I do. We may get back to traveling and doing some other things and something more relaxing, because this sure isn't good for your blood pressure and your heart. I can tell you. A lot of stress. And I get so aggravated. I've got so hurt because it seems like our police departments, our police chiefs, our sheriffs, our directors, our commissioners, our prosecutors, Mike Elam and Oakley Dean, Baldwin, you can expect it out of them. Guys are trying to make a buck. They're trying to make $1. What's these guys' excuse? What's their excuse to go after a 58-year-old case? Not because it's 58-year-old cold case, because of the name. Because it's Buford Pusser. They just took on the most famous law enforcement in the history of Tennessee, the second most famous law enforcement officer in the history of the United States, second only to Wyatt Earp. I'm saddened. I don't know what else to say. If I'm wrong on anything, guys, please text me or email me or put it in the comments. I'll change it. I'll try to correct. Just a second. No, it's okay. I thought I had one more video, but I don't. Guys, listen, thanks for joining me. Catch you on the next one.